Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Brewing Business Show. This is a space dedicated to the craft beer industry and entrepreneurs who wants to learn more about mindset, health, wealth, business, and of course, beer. I'm your host, Pedro Meneses, and before we start, I just want to make sure you buckle up, crack open a cold one, and get ready to hear some life-changing information. Cheers. So welcome back, everybody, to episode 15 of the Brewing Business Show. If you're a first-timer, be sure to check out the previous episodes and do me a favor and leave me a review on iTunes so you can help more people to find the show. And today, guys, I'm so excited to have on the show someone whose passion for life drives him to lead an army of passionate people to deliver a world-class nonprofit organization for the brewery industry. An army that works tirelessly to help those in need and support industry workers and families experiencing adversity outside of the workplace. Recently, he partnered with the Brewers Association to create the Believe in Beer Relief Fund to support the breweries and state brewers guilds impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. His approach for fundraising is rooted in what uplifts his organization, BottleShare, and its partners, a love for craft beer, wine, spirits, and even a deeper love for the beautiful community to which we all belong. And today, he's here with us to share his story and passion for helping others. So welcome to the show, Christopher. It is a pleasure to have you here, brother.
Man, it's an absolute honor to be here, my friend. Thank you so much. What an incredible intro. Holy I don't know if I can live up to that. Should we just cut the show right now and let everybody have those high expectations?
Absolutely, man. It's going to be recorded there forever, so it's going to be amazing, man. I really freaking...
Downhill from here, brother.
Man,
well, thank you so much for having me on the show. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's an honor to have you here in the show. And I just want to let the people watching this right now and listening in the future, man, like, I really love your energy, man. Right before we start recording this, like, you got me all pumped up, and I really like the way you see life and how you approach everything. You know, I think that's great. And it's something that can inspire a lot of people. So why we don't start and talk to us a little about your story, your background, where you're coming from. I know you have a hell of a story that can inspire a lot of people. So why we don't start there and then we move forward to what we do with BottleShare and all that stuff. Sounds good?
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you so much. So really, it's a very powerful story. It's centered around overcoming the absolute worst obstacles that you can ever face in your entire life, pulling yourself up, getting yourself out there, working hard, serving other people, and how in turn putting somebody before yourself actually helps you achieve exactly what that is in life. And what does that want? Well, you know, we really, truly, we want happiness. We want fulfillment. We want to feel successful. And I'm achieving those things because of the mind frame that I decided to choose to live my life with after a horrific accident. So I'll go ahead and just get started. I was first off, I'm going to rep my homeboys at Dry County Brewing Company in Kennesaw, Georgia. That is, yeah, right. That's my fam. That's actually the physical location of the nonprofit. That's where I was working. I was a bar manager at Dry County Brewing Company in Kennesaw one night. I think it was a Friday or a Saturday night. I closed up the bar. It was pretty late. You know, we had to do our closing duties, and everybody had to go mop the floor, and I'm delegating and trying to count the cash. All right, cool. We're out the door probably by about 1 a.m. It had been a very busy weekend, a ton of people, tons of traffic. It was absolutely fantastic at the brewery that night. High energy, great crowd. Unfortunately, because of that, I wasn't able to eat. Right, we were hustling and bustling and just getting done what needed to be done all day and night. So I was starving. At 1 a.m. you have very few options. I wasn't really in the mood for fast food. I'm a huge, I love hot wings. I love chicken wings, man. It's just a part of my life. It's like,
who doesn't, huh?
Exactly. And so there was a local establishment right down the road that their kitchen was still open. So I went and picked up some hot wings and got on the highway. I was driving home, and I only lived probably about 20 minutes from my place of employment. But you have to take the highway. And so there's this highway in North Georgia called 575 that splits off from 75 North. And I was cruising up that way and got off on my exit. And you know when you come off of the off-ramp on the highway and you come to the stoplight to turn left to go back over the highway?
Yeah.
Like you're on a bridge now and you cross over the highway. So I was sitting at that red light in my Jeep. I remember it was January 6th of 2018. So it was absolutely freezing. I think it was only about 14 degrees that night, which is crazy because we're in Georgia. It doesn't typically get that cold. And I remember I was listening to my music, waiting for the light to turn red, and then everything went blank. And I have absolutely no idea how long I was out. There were no warning signs. There wasn't tires screeching with the brake pads.
Right.
There were no horns. There was no indication whatsoever that I was about to get rear-ended at 60 miles an hour by a full-size Chevy Silverado coming off the highway. So unfortunately, the guy had way too much to drink and was absolutely hammered, passed out on the wheel on the highway, and came flying off the off-ramp and barreled straight into me. And we'll kind of get into the whole drinking and driving, and I'm working in the alcohol industry and how that's almost it can be an uncomfortable conversation, but it's a conversation that has to be had.
Right.
A lot of us are getting tired of losing friends to DUIs and drunk driving related accidents, which can be prevented. So with that being said, I came to, it felt like a bomb had gone off in the Jeep, honestly. If I wasn't driving my Jeep, I'd be dead. If it was any other vehicle in the world, even the first responders told me this. They said, I can't believe it. This guy's truck is huge. Your Jeep absolutely saved your life. I hope that you know that. At the time, I was in shock, so I didn't quite understand or comprehend what was going on. I can't remember the entire scene of the night. I just remember it in pictures, just a single photograph of a split-second moment from that evening. And I remember I was just very confused, very shook up, huge ringing in my head. Didn't quite understand what the heck was going on. I couldn't tell up from down, left from right. I was very disoriented. I remember the moment that I realized I had been hit. And then I don't remember anything after that. I do remember being on the phone with the police, and then I don't remember the rest of the night. But I drove home. The backside of my Jeep was absolutely smashed in, but it was still drivable. And so apparently the first responders were like, "We got to take you to the hospital. We got to take you to the hospital. You could be in shock. You might be extremely concussed right now, this and that." And apparently I had just denied it all. And I said, "No, I want to go home." And in the transcripts, obviously there was a huge case after this. I kept telling them that I was just very tired and I just wanted to go home. And so I denied any medical treatment that night. I drove home, and the next morning I knew something was very, very off. And that was the beginning of the concussion stage, when your brain swells up.
Right.
So I went into the hospital, I checked myself in. Of course, they confirmed a severe concussion, but there was no bleeding. And so they allowed me to leave. And for probably the next 2 to 3 weeks, the worst part of the physical reaction to the accident was, my back, my neck. I was very stiff. I was in a lot of pain. I was foggy and confused, but it wasn't so bad at first. It was actually when the concussion and the brain started to swell back down, that's when my neurological damage began to set in. So as my brain came back down to normal size, 3 areas of my brain suffered atrophy, which means that part of that, I lost gray matter, I lost part of that brain, it shrank down. So the easiest way to describe it now is like, my brain weighs a little bit less now than it did before the accident, right?
Right.
I'll never get that back. Those parts are dead. Now, thank God for neuroelasticity and your brain and the neural pathways and the neurons that have the ability to create brand new superhighways to transfer information, right? And it took a long time. It took about 2 years. It took a lot of work, a lot of therapy, 7 doctors, 4 attorneys. I was a hot mess. I was essentially a vegetable for the first 6 months.
Wow.
By month 9, I could get out of bed and walk around, but I was still an absolute basket case. I was very confused. Everything scared me, even my own thoughts. I would have a thought and it would startle me and I would have a physical reaction to it. I was having seizures. I had lost self-awareness on multiple occasions, actually. And you know that feeling when you wake up and for maybe just a split second, you don't know where you are or you don't know what's
Yeah.
going on. You kind of panic for just
That's horrible.
yeah, it's a horrible feeling, right?
Yeah.
Now amplify that and put it out to about 20 minutes of walking around in your own home, not recognizing anything, looking in the mirror, not recognizing your own face, not recognizing your own voice, looking at your hands and your skin, and just you have no idea who you are. It's a complete and total disassociation and lack of self-awareness. And it's a terrifying, terrifying experience. And it happened on several occasions along with the seizures and all sorts of stuff. So it was a battle, man. Prior to that, I've always been a really happy guy. I've always been a energetic individual focused on the positive things in life. For that period of my life, for that first year, maybe a year and a half, I got a real solid taste and dosage of serious mental health issues. You know, it was very dark times for me. All of a sudden, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. My life was great prior to then. You know, it was going in just the exact direction that I wanted it to go, and everything was wonderful. And then this happened. And for the first time in my life, I found myself asking, why me? And I've never been a self-pity kind of person. Why me? I think that that's an excuse or a negative way, a negative outlook to have on life. And these were these things that I was experiencing for the first time. And so mental health issues have become very important to me. And is just a real quick kind of get off a topic here for a second, but within the next year or so, it is my absolute goal to have what we're going to introduce, a recovery grant. And that's for people who are suffering through mental health issues and or dependency issues within the craft beverage industry, because there's no help out there. You know, if somebody's depressed or somebody's feeling suicidal or somebody's, you know, is seeking counsel for any reason or another, and they don't have health insurance, you really don't have an option. Right? And the doctors are going to charge you a lot of money. And let's be honest here, this is a passion project kind of industry where a lot of people are overworked and underpaid. And so if you can't even afford to feed yourself every single month or pay your bills on time, how the heck are you going to go get help when you need it? And you need that help. That's the number one most important thing. So I got a taste of that. And so because of that, now I'm passionate about it, because I only lived that for a year. There's some people that are living that their entire freaking lives, man. And it breaks my heart, and it makes me want to help even more. You know, it drives me, it inspires me, it motivates me to go out. And that's just a whole nother group of people that hopefully BottleShare can reach out and touch and help and assist that wouldn't have had that assistance otherwise. Right. And so I suffered through all of that. And then one day, Trey Sinclair, the founder and owner of Dry County Brewing Company, reached out to me and he said, we have this opportunity to do a Lyft initiative video. Right. So Lyft, the rideshare company, is going to offer discounted rides for patrons leaving a brewery, which is a great idea, right? Let's give anybody any reason at all to save a couple of months and get a couple of bucks and get home safely. And so I said, absolutely. But actually, at first, I was terrified and said, absolutely not.
Right.
Hell no, man. I was shaking. I was tremoring. I was seizuring. I was sweating so profusely all the time. I couldn't control the way that I spoke. I would stutter. I couldn't find my words. My brain were moving very slowly.
Wow.
And so I said, no, man, you need to take a hike. That's so stupid. Why would you ask me this question? But then, of course, I thought about it and I said, okay, you know, here's something that you can actually grab onto that's positive in your life for the first time in a year, and maybe even impact somebody else's life, even just one. Even if it's just one life, you know, then you've changed an entire world. And so I finally agreed to it and prepared myself and went in and we did it. It's called, and you can find it on our on any of our social media pages or thebottleshare.org. It's the Dry County Lift Initiative video where I'm just sitting down with one other guy, and it's very emotional. It's a very emotional video. Lyft wound up donating $500 in rides to me at the time because I couldn't drive. I had lost my license because of the seizures. I wasn't medically cleared to do it, so it was a burden on my family. That was as well weighing heavily on my heart. My family had to take me in, man. They had to pay my bills. I was a 30 mid 30, relatively healthy young guy that's got his life pretty much on the right path where I want to go and everything, and what I was doing. And all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, I am 100% dependent on everybody around me. I can't do anything myself.
Yeah.
I can't even think for myself. And so when Lyft came out, we did that initiative video. Trey and I, gave a big hug at the end, and I just kind of fell and started crying. It was a very emotional experience. And then we put it online. And when we put it online, it garnered so much attention and so much positive feedback. And that was the first time in so long that I had heard anything positive or felt anything positive or had some sort of spark in my heart again for the passion for life, right? Which I lost, and it drove me crazy. And so it wasn't just a spark, my friend. It ignited a nuclear reaction inside of my body, inside my spirit, my soul, my heart, to go out. And now I found myself one night laying in bed, and I was going through a really tough time. There's a lot of uncontrollable sobbing and crying, and just nothing you can do about it when you're in that stage with all this neurological damage in your brain. And I said to myself, here it is. Here's my chance right now. I can either lay in bed and die before I'm actually dead, and this is how I'm going to live the rest of my life. Or I can now get to live a second life, but while still in the first, and design it any way that I want to. Yeah. And that's the path that I chose. And that's the second that everything changed for me. And that's the minute the BottleShare was created, whether the title was there or not. So I came back in, I found my passion. And not only did I find my passion, but I found my purpose. And one thing I like to tell people is for years, man, I'd have been searching for my purpose. There's got to be something out there bigger than me just going out and making a paycheck and coming home and sitting on the couch and watching TV, right? I want to do more. I want to do bigger. How do I do it? So I thought about that for years. It had been driving me crazy. But I realized through this accident that it's oftentimes, it's not you who finds your purpose. It's your purpose who finds you. You just have to be ready. You have to know. You have to see the signs. You have to act on that feeling, that emotional connection, that vibe that you get to the very core that says, holy smokes, this is something. Don't be scared of it. Embrace it and run with it. Because if you do, you're doing the right thing. And when you do the right things happen.
Wow, man. I have so many questions right now. I mean, it is crazy, like you went through a really hard season, man. But what is something that I admire is how you overcome that, man. And how, you just, when you were talking right now, you just reminded one of the phrases that I like to live on, that is part of my mentorship program, that is it's the FYE life. That is your fuck your excuses life,
Yeah. So, yeah.
But the reason, I mean, you embody that phrase, because you were in a situation where you can just decided to say, okay, you know what, this is just my life, and this is probably what the cards that life dealt to me, and I'm just gonna suck it up. But that's not the way you decided to take. You decided to say, like, no, there's more. There's something out there for me, and you find that purpose, and it's great. It's great that you did that, because your example can be used for anything, especially in the craft beer industry, especially how hard the industry has been hit with the COVID and the pandemic and all that stuff, and a lot of people suffering. Like you can pretty much be the example, like, okay, guys, yeah, we're going through hard times, but there's opportunity, there's options. And no matter where we are right now, like in your business, my business, or any brewery out there, tap room, or any other business in the hospitality industry, there's opportunities. And this is the great example that you provide to the industry right now, man.
Without a doubt. And thank you for saying that. Thank you for pointing that out. And I think that the most important thing to learn here is that my business, BottleShare, yes, we are a nonprofit. We are a 501c3. We're here to take care of people, but we also have to fundraise. I have to go out and sell to the people that are absolute strangers every single day, my story, my experience, and what I'm trying to do for the industry, right? And through this pandemic, we have grown exponentially. Right. Just this week, I think we sent out $24,000 in emergency financial assistance to individuals, business owners, and state guilds across the entire country. We weren't doing these numbers prior to the pandemic, and we weren't certainly doing these numbers 6 months prior to, a year prior to. You know, I've really only been at this technically 1 year, because that's when we finally got our 501c3, but the business itself has been in existence for coming up on 2 years. But I couldn't do the true fundraising until I received my 501c3 acknowledgement through the IRS, right? So come July, we're actually going to be celebrating like our 1 year anniversary. But I tell you what, man, there was about 5 minutes in my head where I thought to myself, okay, when this pandemic started, things are going to slow down. But then I said, no, no. I'm going to lace up my Nikes right now, and I'm going to run harder than I've ever ran in my life. And the second that I did that, business exploded because we're doing things for other people. We're putting other people first. And the breweries that we're working with currently through this pandemic that are being so incredibly selfless, we weren't doing any sort of the numbers that we're doing right now, man. We weren't able to help nearly the amount of people that we're helping right now. And it's not just because there's more people to help, it's because there's more people helping. That's why. And when these breweries who are in the middle of a pandemic themselves, breweries such as Good Word out in Duluth, Georgia, who 100% of the proceeds from 6 Feet Never Felt So Far are going back to BottleShare. Right? This is time, this is resources, this is money. These are things that these men and women are putting to the side and sacrificing in the middle of a pandemic to give to their brethren, right? This money goes back to other breweries that are in need. And that's incredible. So like I said, again, if you're doing the right thing, the right thing's going to happen. The good thing's going to happen. And so these folks are perfect examples of other individuals that are just like you and I, have that same mentality. A we culture versus a me culture, right? Putting people first, serving others before you serve yourself, so that you, in return, you wind up receiving what you need and sometimes even what you want, as long as you're doing it with a closed hand, of course.
And not only that, but I think it's a great example right now to even talk a little bit about it, the mindset, because and that's what I'm loving this right now, because this show is not only about business of craft beer. It's about mindset. It's about health. It's about different areas in our lives. And the reason why is because I believe that, like we were talking before we started the show, right? We are entrepreneurs in this industry. The breweries owners are entrepreneurs. And if you want to have a successful business, a successful brewery, you need to work in all areas of your life. And you're a great example of what is to have a good mindset, because basically, we can say that the pandemic was like a second opportunity for you to prove that you can actually thrive during hard times. You can actually pivot and do something greater. That you can actually use your struggle to take your business to the next level. And that's something that you've been doing right now, and something that you've been a great example for the people you have worked so far during this pandemic. So I think that is very important to understand, man, like the mindset that we need to start taking or sharing with people in the industry, and understand that, man, I see a great opportunity coming right now. I don't know. What about you?
Oh, I don't just see it, I feel it. It's a vibration, So first, before I get too far ahead, I'm going to tell everybody exactly what BottleShare is and what it does and why it was established. BottleShare is the very first fundraising and fund distribution 501c3 organization specifically serving the craft beverage industry. Okay, so craft beverage is craft beer, wine, and spirits. And we serve their workers. And not only have we served their workers up until this point, but now we are transcending that, and we're also serving the owners of the businesses. Because let's be honest, if we can't help the owners of the businesses stay afloat,
Right.
at least to the most of our ability, then there's going to be no employees to help. So what we
Absolutely.
do is, in the event that a worker in the craft beverage industry experiences an extreme hardship outside of the workplace, preventing them from working and earning an income, okay, to provide for themselves and their family, then they submit an application and a survey through BottleShare. And as long as they qualify, then we grant them out emergency financial assistance so that we can remove that financial burden off of them, off their heart, off of whatever it needs. Say you need to heal. First off, there's two things that I say that you got to get rid of when you're in the healing process. If it's somebody else's fault, you got to forgive them, because you cannot heal with hate in your heart. You're taking away precious moments and time to spend healing on yourself, and you're putting it in a negative space thinking about somebody else, and that doesn't accomplish anything. So that's the first thing that you've got to get rid of. And secondly is the number one biggest stressor commonly documented is money, right? Money is a
Right.
huge stressor. If you're trying to heal and you're stressed out about money, you're not going to be able to heal. All it's going to do is compile. You're going to have to suppress and repress all of the crap that you're supposed to be working on so that you can go out there and make a couple extra bucks so that you can pay your bills. Well, guess what? We want to take that burden, that financial stress away from you so that you can take the time that it takes to heal, take the time that it takes to get better, to find that wellness, and let us take care of some of those bills for you so that you can do the right thing. You can focus on yourself, you can get back on your feet, and then you can get back to work.
Wow. That's I like that proposition, man. Like, I love how you focus on your well-being first,
Certainly.
before you can start fixing something else, which I believe is the best way you can start fixing something, or in this case, your business in your brewery, because if you don't fix what is at home first, you're not going to be able to fix what's on your business
Yeah.
later. So I think that's a great approach that you have. So, and what do you, I mean, I guess you have a complete, a serious process to qualify these people, because I guess if there's people not interested like in working on themselves and fixing themselves first and understand the magnitude of what helping them is going to take, right? I
Yeah.
guess they don't get qualified, right?
So exactly. So there's a qualification process. So that's a survey that you fill out. And through
Mhm.
your responses on that survey are going to dictate whether you go on to the next step. And that next step is the actual application. So you've been approved. Now you need to go through the application process. And we use a scoring rubric on our back end. And our grants are awarded on a need basis. So for example, we've helped so many people, and we've been able to experience being able to help somebody, so many people now, especially through the pandemic. But for example, there was just an absolutely wonderful human being. I won't name names or give details, but unfortunately she was widowed in very unfortunate circumstances. It was very sudden, and that gentleman was the breadwinner, had worked in the industry for years and years and years, and was helping build this absolute empire. And now we've got an immediate family member that has absolutely zero income, 3 children under the age of 5. What is she going to do?
Wow. Yeah.
What is she going to do? So of course she qualified. And of course we granted her money, but we also did a big fundraiser for her as well. And we wound up actually raising, I think it was somewhere around $30,000 to help this individual get through her time of need. And so there's a variety of ways that we can help. And that's the cool thing, is that we want to be creative. We want to be fun. We want to be exciting. We're not here to mourn tragedy. We're here to celebrate life, right?
Right.
And that's why we're doing what we're doing. And we want to share our excitement and our passion for everything that comes with being alive and all of the beauty that comes with it, and amplify that, right? Because there's so much of it already in this industry.
Yeah.
And one of my goals is really to shine a big old light on it.
Absolutely. I think my goal too. I think there's a lot of stuff that needs to be worked in this industry. And I think what you're doing is definitely something that's going to cause a huge impact, man. Talk to us a little bit more about the recent partnership that you did with the Brewers Association.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up. So when the pandemic had first hit, and we were kind of I don't want to say scrambling. We were getting done what needed to be done in order to pivot and create a new business model on the drop of a dime.
Right.
Right. I always say hesitation kills. If you hesitate, you're either going to get left behind or you're going to get killed. Think about a busy intersection. You've got cars moving all over the place. You hit the gas, you hit the brake, you hit the gas, you're hesitating. Boom, somebody hits you. Now there's a
Right.
big accident and everybody's screwed. And so that's one thing that I live my life by is if I have a feeling and there's something in my gut telling me to do something, I'm going to go do it. I'll find out if it was the right step or the wrong step after I do it, but I'm going to go give it a shot, right? Because you don't know either way unless you take action. And
Right.
so we decided to pivot and change our business model on the drop of a dime. Within 24 hours, we had a brand new or a whole new BottleShare mission and a business plan. So instead of doing large grants on a quarterly basis, we decided let's help as many people as we possibly can, break that way down, and now we're offering a micro grant program. So this micro grant initiative, it might not be as much as people were getting at first, but
Right.
there's a lot of people out there not bringing in a single dollar a week right now. $250 is a big deal, right?
I know.
$500 is a big deal. $1,000 is a huge deal, especially in times like this. So in the midst of doing all of that, we were contacted by the Brewers Association through. Last year, I received a sponsorship through the Brewers Association for Great American Beer Festival. So our floor space and tent space were taken care of by them. There was an individual talking about creating a relief fund for the entire industry within the Brewers Association, and the gentleman that I worked with last year at GABF had mentioned my name. So they reached out, spoke to me, and it was a no-brainer, right? As a matter of fact, this is one of those mental things. There's the mental frame that you and I like to talk about. I visualized this.
Right.
I visualized working with the Brewers Association well before I ever did. I knew that this was going to happen. And as a matter of fact, when it got here in the present time, I had already celebrated it in the future. So I was already familiar with this. I knew it was going to happen. I didn't know exactly how, but it was like as soon as the deal had been made and we said, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to run with this. This is incredible. This is exciting. We're going to be able to help out so many people. I said, holy smokes. I took a minute. I had an epiphany and I said, I've been here, man. I manifested this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's something
Yeah,
that I've been thinking about for so long. And here it is. Here I am now. This is exactly where I was when I was thinking about it last year. And here we are. Right? It just goes to show the power of the mind and what you can do with it when you really focus in and you dedicate your life to it. And so they called up. I was so incredibly honored and humbled and excited and just passionately motivated to do absolutely everything that I possibly could for the Brewers Association, because that is such an organization that I just absolutely admire, am inspired by, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to work with them. And so we created the Believe in Beer Relief Fund, which is a GoFundMe charity campaign where people can go in and donate. You can find it on our website. You can find it on our social media pages. I mean, even $5 helps. You know what I mean? You get 1,000 people pitching in $5, all of a sudden you're helping out a couple breweries that are hanging on by a thread, bro, like by a thread. We're hearing about breweries going out of business now every single day because of this pandemic. So the more people that can come together, like I said, if I can get 1,000 people to donate just $5, the cost of one beer without tip, you know, throw it in there, man, and we'll take care of the rest, and we'll take care of these people that need it. We'll take care of these breweries that need it. We'll help keep them afloat, the state guilds as well. And so that's where it started. It started with this GoFundMe charity campaign with the Brewers Association, but then it got even bigger, and which is amazing. So Mob Craft Beer out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, then had said, well, we were going to do something, but this COVID thing took place. We were on a Facebook Live, just something similar to this, and I was speaking with the owner, and he said, dude, we should make a beer called Believe in Beer, have it benefit the Believe in Beer Relief Fund and call it the Blending Barrels Edition, because he's got a bunch of sours that have
Right.
cultures and sours that have been just aged in these barrels. They're ready to go. They're delicious. And I said, man, that's a phenomenal idea, and I'm 100% on board. One thing that I always like to do when I'm collaborating with somebody is take a piece of them and take a piece of us and combine the two. And I couldn't think of a better opportunity than some sweet Georgia peaches, baby, especially on a sour. And so the Milwaukee area is very famous for their Door County cherries. So they have big orchards of these Door County cherries that are really popular up in that area. Of course, Georgia's known for their peaches. So I contacted a orchard out here, Lane Southern Orchards, in Fort Valley, Georgia, near Warner Robins, Georgia, and I gave them a call, spoke on the phone for no more than five minutes with this really incredible dude named Gene. And by the end of the conversation, they fully donated 1,000 pounds of peaches to go into that beer. And so
That's
it's
incredible.
absolutely amazing. Yeah, it was incredible. So that inspired the Mobcraft team to go and try to do the same thing. So they reached out and they got their cherries donated as well. So now we have a very low-cost beer that we're going to be able to sell across the entire country, our very first nationally distributed beer, which I'm so incredibly excited about.
That's
and
awesome, man.
100% of those proceeds are going back to the Believe in Beer Relief Fund. And I can't tell you how damn grateful I am for all of that.
That's incredible, man. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It is incredible to see how you've been attracting all this stuff to your life just because your attitude and the way you are seeing things and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's incredible, man. And I think you're doing a great job, and you're going to be helping way more people than you can imagine at this point,
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm making my own movie, and we all have that capacity. We are all the director, the writer, the star, the producer of our own freaking movie.
Yep.
What are you watching? What do you want to watch? What do you want to make? What is your movie going to look like?
Yeah, absolutely.
When I die, this company will continue on. It will outlive me. BottleShare will be a legacy company, and that's the way I want my movie to look.
Which I believe that is a huge part of being a business owner. I think you build something like a business, or in this case, most of our audience listening to this are brewery owners. I think you build all that because you want to leave a legacy, right? Mm-hmm. And but to leave that kind of legacy, like the one that you want to leave, you have to work on yourself in the way you do work on yourself, because if you don't do all those kind of stuff, it's going to be hard for people to remember you. Like, what kind of impact you want to do in this world? What kind of impact you want to leave behind? What exactly you want to do so people can remember you and keep going with your legacy and the way you're doing, man. I think people is going to remember you because you're changing the way people are helping others in this industry. And I know besides all the fundraising and all that stuff, breweries collaborate with you, and through them, you build these funds, right? So,
big time, yeah.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about, for example, if there's a brewery owner right now listening to this in the future, like they're interested about partnering with you, like, man, we want to help. We would like to see how we can collaborate and even brew a batch that can to fund races to help other breweries in the industry. So what is the process for the brewery owner to join you and collaborate with you?
Absolutely. So the collaboration is one of our four major streams of revenue for the nonprofit. Collaboration being my favorite, because not only are we bringing funds in, but we're interacting not just with the brewery owners and the brewery staff, and we're able to share our story and let them know that there's an option available there that they might not have known about in the past, or even knew existed at all. And we get to get out into the community and connect with your craft beer enthusiasts as well. And I tell you what, man, craft beer enthusiasts are badass. They're the best. This whole damn industry is absolutely badass. It's phenomenal. But the legions of craft beer enthusiasts as well. It's such a beautiful, wonderful community and industry to belong to. And collaborations is a huge way that not only have we been able to generate funds, but also raise as much awareness as possible. And so that we do that through, we can do one of two kind of collaborations or beers. So say, for example, I've got this one right here by Good Word. This was released not too long ago, within probably the last 3 weeks. It's called 6 Feet Never Felt So Far, right?
Wow.
And you can see the BottleShare logo down there. And then they also shouted out like Yakima Chief, Craft Cellar, White Labs, everybody that donated to make this beer 100% free, other than the labor hours. Then selling it, 100% of the profits go back, or the proceeds go back to BottleShare. And then we can use that money to write checks out and help families and businesses in need. Now that's a charity beer. That's one option that you have. And a lot of people are actually reaching out to us now because they're seeing that that a charity beer currently is gaining more traction when it comes to sales, because people know that money they're going to spend beer on anyway, right? But knowing that money that they're spending is going to go to a good cause, and they still get to enjoy the beer, is an added benefit and a unique selling point for the consumer themselves. And so it makes sense for a lot of these breweries to start tying some of these beers. Say they've got a beer that they need to move, and in this pandemic, all of a sudden it's just sitting there. Hey, let's tie it to a charity. Let's, get the beer out there. The people will buy it because the proceeds are going back. It's almost like it's almost like you're getting something in return for a donation, right? And that's awesome. So that's your charity beer. Then we have a route where it's a collaboration, a straight out collaboration. And these are BottleShare volumes. So you can see down at the bottom, it's a little bit different. This very first volume was done with Urban South down in New Orleans, Louisiana. And this was BottleShare Volume 1. And it was Bon Temps Beignet. It really turned out to be an absolutely delicious, like a dessert beer. Beignets are very well known in the community out in New Orleans. We didn't want to do the cliche Mardi Gras thing. So, what's something else that's really well known in the community? Well, beignets. Well, cool. Has a beignet Berliner Weiss ever been brewed? No. Let's do it. And that's how this creativity kind of flows. We sit down, we talk about what we want to accomplish, how we want to connect with the community, because then that's just another added benefit for somebody to go out and purchase this beer. It gives them pride. It's where they're from, right? And so that's very cool. We released BottleShare Volume 2 with a local brewery here in Georgia called Good Love. Man, dude, this label was
I love it.
Yeah,
It looks good.
so retro. It's so retro, and of course, it's got our raising glasses, saving asses in the back there. We always list the BottleShare benefits. We like to talk about the brewery as well. Whenever we do a collaboration beer for a BottleShare volume, our branding agency, Vigor, located in Atlanta, Georgia, are the ones that design the can art. Then whenever it's just a charity beer, the brewery itself is the one that does the can art.
Right.
Here's another great example. Altogether. You're familiar with the Altogether movement, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So everybody brewed the same beer, but put their own flavor on it. And then the proceeds from that beer went back to hospitality industries of that brewery's choice, which is absolutely phenomenal because it provides the world with an opportunity to give back to the people that are really in need right now. So on the front, there's the Altogether. On the back, we've got Pontoon Brewing and BottleShare. So we've got like people that came in and put their signatures and cool sayings on what this beer meant to them. And then, of course, our two logos there. So the Altogether proceeds can also be donated back to BottleShare. And the really cool thing about all of this, all of these collaborations. Oh, yeah, one more big shout out real quick. This one was from Reformation and Variant Brewing here in Atlanta, Georgia. This was a pineapple milkshake IPA. This was a charity beer, so this wasn't a collaboration. This was made for the proceeds to go back to BottleShare. We wound up generating over $16,000 on that beer alone to give back to the employees from the breweries who were fired and furloughed because of this pandemic. So because of their generosity, it was immediately returned, and all of their employees were able to be taken care of, which is an absolutely amazing thing. So yeah, but just to let everybody know, in the event you haven't chosen a charity yet for your altogether proceeds to go to, please consider BottleShare. And the reason that I say that is because it keeps the money within the community, right? And
Right.
that's very important for me, is through all of these collaborations and charity beers and other sources of revenue for the organization, the money stays right exactly where it needs to belong, and that's with us within the
Right.
community.
Man, that's incredible. I really like everything that you've been sharing right now, man. And the idea that all stays in the industry, where there's
Yes.
a lot of need. I know that you've been helping right now a lot of breweries that are being affected by the pandemic. Thank God we're moving forward from that situation. I don't know what 2020 have for us in store for the next. I'm
Yeah,
kind
what's
of
next month,
anxious,
Russ?
to be honest with you. I'm a little bit anxious, but you know what? I'm not gonna be anxious anymore because you remind me today of how important it is to keep that positive mind. I'm all into mindset too, and like always
Yeah,
being positive, and I believe in all that you can talk to existence, and you can create, like you said, your own movie just by the thoughts that you have and the things that you imagine and how you attract that to your life. I believe in all that stuff too,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen, man, but something that I'm sure is that the industry have someone that's going to be there to help them in whatever the case may be, So I really
Yes.
appreciate you doing all this stuff, man, because there's a lot of need. And now that we've been talking a little about the charity and all that stuff, I know that you have some perspective and some opinion when it comes to the business part of the industry, And I would like you to share that with us. What do you think about business practices and how things you should are evolving for the industry, especially with e-commerce and the online stuff and all that crazy stuff going on?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So business practices, our best business practices so far have been our online presence. Undoubtedly, like without question. I could sit here and with a bullhorn and yell in my community all damn day, or I can put an online video that lasts 2 minutes and reach 3 people here or 20,000, virtually. And so online has just been our best friend so far. Just growing, constantly seeing the growth, constantly seeing the development, constantly seeing the evolution of the organization itself, and not just experiencing it, but documenting it. It's so important for me to document this entire process, because this isn't. It's a little bit different for me in the fact that this is my life, right?
Right.
It's not just. It's I started documenting my life post accident even before BottleShare existed, right? Before I even knew I was going to do BottleShare. A lot of my thoughts, a lot of my day-to-day experiences. I put a video out there one day of one of the days that I was having a really tough time with my tremors, and I'm sitting there trying to fill up a cup of water through the faucet, and I just can't even do it. The cup won't, and it's a big cup, and a,
Right.
and a thin stream of water, and I can't even hit it. And so I've been documenting. So it's all been part of the story. And that's one thing that I didn't just introduce, I just allowed it to continue to flow into part of this business model, BottleShare's business model, which is get out there, man, talk about it, make the mistakes. Don't be scared. Don't let fear lead you. Don't ever be led by fear, right? Especially if you know what you're doing is right. And if you know what you're doing is righteous, and you're surrounding yourself with amazing people. What do they say? You're the average of the 5 people that you associate the most with, right? You're not the best. You're not the worst. You're just right in the middle. Honestly, that's where I would love to be. I never want to be the smartest guy in the room, because I always want to be learning something, right? If I
Yep.
ever feel like I've reached the peak of a mountain, I'm going to go find another higher mountain. I'm not just going to camp out and, hey, this looks good, good view. Might be a
Yep.
good view, but there's a better view. And so best practices would just to be completely and totally fearless in your pursuit, to continue your passion, continue what you're doing. Do not take no for an answer. I mean, I actually have some things written down here on how we have found success through this pandemic. And this can be transferred into your day-to-day life, not just for your business, but your personal life, and then your business when everything is thriving again. When everybody says, oh, we're in another bubble,
Right.
When something starts becoming very good, everybody talks about this big bubble and okay, cool. Maybe it's a bubble. Maybe it's not. Guess what? I'm not in control of that, but I am in control of how I react to whether it is or whether it
Hell
isn't.
yeah.
That's the thing that I'm focused on, right? So the few things that I have to say is I'll touch back up on the do not hesitate thing. The hesitation kills, and that metaphor of being in the middle of a busy intersection and hesitating, trying to cross lanes, and somebody winding up hitting you, and you've caused all of this. Don't hesitate. If it feels right, just go. You will learn if it's a mistake, and that's okay. That's part of the building process. That's part of the platform. That's how you lay your foundation. You don't lay your foundation with success. You lay your foundation with the mistakes that you make in order to build the success off of. Am I right? I mean,
Yeah, no, you're completely right, man.
it makes perfect sense. Another thing is that we had to adapt and evolve. Just like I said, we changed our business model up at the drop of a dime. Within 24 hours, we had a whole new model. We were hitting the ground. We had a game plan and we were running. Let's go. And even if we didn't have a game plan, Richard Branson, one of my favorite entrepreneurs in the world, he says, screw it, just do it. We're going to learn along the way. You know what I
Yep.
mean? If you tell yourself that time after time after time after time, you shed the fear that prevents you from taking the next step forward. And whether it's the right step or the wrong step, it doesn't matter. It's action. And what really matters is not that it was the wrong step. It's
Yep.
what you do with that wrong step. Then it becomes the right step, right? You can actually turn what you would consider negative situations and misfortunes in life into your biggest fortunes, as long as you have the right mind frame to turn them around and view them that way. And then the third and final thing that I always like to say, there are no problems, brother. There are only solutions. The only time that I'll focus on the problem is when I have to figure out exactly what it is. And then once I got it, man, it's gone because I'm already off. I'm already working on a solution for it. And I already know that it's going to be taken care of. If I sit there and think about this problem, no action, no movement, then I'm stuck. I'm stuck in mud. I'm not going anywhere. And it's a self-perpetuating downward spiral. And you wind up pulling yourself into this problem. And then all of a sudden it's consistent. It doesn't need to be that way. Recognize what the problem is. Focus on the solution.
Boom. Now you drop the mic. Man, that's powerful. I'm telling you, what you just sharing right now is very powerful because, again, man, I'm not trying to talk about this stupid pandemic, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that are suffering not because they didn't have the opportunity, just because they had the wrong mindset,
Yeah.
because like I posted early this morning, and I post a simple post saying embrace the struggle. And the reason why I posted that is because one of the audiobooks that I've been listening to right now is the habits of high performance habits, and every successful business owner, every successful entrepreneur needs to learn how to embrace the struggle, because it's just part of life. It's what makes us better. It what
Oh, yeah.
help us grow. But the approach that you have towards struggles, towards bad situations, to the situation that we are experiencing right now in 2020, is like everything starts in your mind. But when you have a positive approach like the one you have, then you're going to be able to see the solutions. Then you're going to be able to focus on the solutions. That's where you can say, like, there's no problem here. It's just a stupid challenge that I need to face. I'm going to come out with a freaking solution, like, this shit is going to take me out right now. No way. I've been going through worse stuff than that. So,
Oh, yeah.
so
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that's very important, and I'm glad that you've been talking a lot about that in this episode, not only about your charity and the things that you do to help others, man, because I think there's a huge need in rewire people's brain in this industry, because like I said before, we all are here to do business and being entrepreneurs, but that doesn't mean that we're not here also to help others. That's the main purpose. That's the reason why this show, I'm not charging anything for this show. There's no ads for this show. I'm not pitching you anything on this show.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this is to bring value, so like your story can change other people's life, can turn that switch in some people's mind and say, like, okay, there's actually another way that I can do stuff. There's actually a way that I can grow my business. There's actually a way that I can get through this pandemic right now and say, fuck
Big
this.
time.
I can build my business and I can be successful no matter what. you know?
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate you sharing that, man. And I believe, and I'm gonna keep insisting, man, that we need to keep working in our mindsets and start believing that because like one of my guests says before a couple of weeks ago, like 10 years ago, the craft beer industry was about who brews the best beer, right?
Yeah.
Now it's about, okay, who runs the best business, you know? And
Yeah.
to tap into that, I believe everything starts in your mind. Like that's the reason why
It's all where it starts.
this is the reason why I believe you have become successful with BottleShare and everything that you're doing, because you visualize that. You don't allow any negativity and any of the stupid things that you can hear in the media and all that stuff. Like we
Mhm.
cannot control what's going on, but we can control what happens inside of us. You know,
Yep. We
so
can,
I'm
we
really,
can, we have no control of really, I mean, like, honestly, once you realize and accept the fact that we have almost no control at all, it becomes one of the most freeing days of your life, because along with that epiphany, if you will, comes, but I can't control how I react.
yeah.
That is the one thing that I can control. Every single time I can choose to react to anything that I have no control over. And how do I react? Those are the things that I'm in control over. And those are the things that I practice being in control over and getting really damn good at navigating and being able to make the right choices, because I practice it, because I'm aware of it. I think of it all the damn time.
And you know, now that you mentioned practice, and I know you asked me to mention about this book, you know, I'm reading a book that is called Breaking the
Yes.
Habit of Being Yourself. That is by Dr. Joe Dispenza. That he actually, once you read that book, man, it's going to reinforce everything that you've been practicing and how. But what you said, practice, you know, and all the stuff that happens in our lives most of the times because we have created the wrong habits, you know, like we have created the wrong habit of being mad all the time. We have created the wrong habit of being angry all the time. And then eventually you always get pissed because that's just how your body reacts now, because that's how you have
Yes.
put in your mind. That's what you put in your existence. And that's what you attract to your life. So if you guys are listening to this, is something that it is a book, it's a good starting point. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. And it is a very challenging book, you know, because it's going to challenge a lot of the beliefs that we have as humans, you know, but how we can actually change our minds, and how by just changing our minds, we can change our bodies. We can actually even heal our
Mm-hmm.
bodies by just
Mm-hmm.
changing our mind and the way we think and the thoughts that we put out there and how that affects our emotions. So, and you're a great example of that. It's crazy, man. You know, it is crazy how things happen for a reason, because you've been sharing about a bunch of all that stuff here in the show. We were talking about this before the episode, and it's just incredible how all these affirmations are coming to my life right now, you know, like you're
Yes. Awesome.
reaffirming everything that I've been
Tough.
learning, everything that I've been listening to for the past 3 or 4 weeks. Like it's just reaffirming everything that I've been learning and I've been
Yes.
implementing in my life, you know. The only thing that I need to change right now is my resting bitch face, because that's the only problem I have, you know. But but other than that, man,
Awesome.
I mean, it is incredible how you manifest those things and now you're seeing it in your life. And the same thing can happen for everybody in this industry, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah,
I think
definitely.
it's incredible, man.
And I love that you mentioned that it was a challenge, because uh, one thing, I'll, you know, here's something else that might just blow everybody's mind. Almost exactly 1 year after my traumatic brain injury, my sister, who's 2 years younger than I am, had a stroke and
Wow.
suffered a traumatic brain injury, but just in a different portion of her brain, right? And while I was very reliant upon her through my recovery period, I remember she would constantly help me by challenging me to do something that I didn't want to do, that I was afraid to do, that I was scared to do, that I was hiding from doing, that I was pulling away from. I wasn't making any progress. I was regressing, right? And so that we grow most in the most uncomfortable positions. And so we
Hell
need to
yeah.
be challenged. We need to be uncomfortable, because those are the moments that we level up. And this life, I don't want to say that it's like a video game, but it kind of is, because in a video game, you're not playing the level to stay on the damn level. You're playing the level to level up. right? You
Yeah.
want to finish that level. You want to beat the game. You want to level up until you beat the game. And that's life. If you're stagnant, if you sit still, if you're stuck in the mud, if you allow yourself to suffer in that mentality, then you're stuck on the same damn level every single day. Go level up, man. Go level up. It's an incredible feeling. It's an incredible feeling.
Yeah, I totally believe that, man. I've been in the self-development area for like 4 or 5 years already, you know. Well, actually 6 years. I started my entrepreneur journey. I don't have a similar story as yours, but I had a really dark period of my life. That was the reason why I'm here now, doing all this stuff, the podcast, the market brewing company, and trying to help the craft beer industry. And I've been doing a lot of stuff, you know. But
That's
I think
awesome.
one of the greatest things, or the smartest decisions I have made in my life before trying to make any money, was trying to fix myself, you know, and
Yeah.
starting with my mind and putting the right things. And like you mentioned, like surrounded with the right people. And this is
Yep.
kind of like what I want to bring through this show, through my company, is bring that to the industry. You know, have people like you that can come and talk to us more about mindset, about the things that you implement to being a successful entrepreneur, how you can pivot in times like this, how you can actually thrive during a bad season in your business and all that kind of stuff, you know, because there's opportunity out there, but we can put all this information out there. And now the question is, the craft beer industry is willing to open their minds to it, or we're going to stay the same? That's, I think, the
Yeah.
big question that we need to answer now, right?
Yeah. And I think that it took this pandemic to make anybody that didn't either realize that there was a lack of care within our community or didn't care to recognize that there was a lack of care. But this pandemic, I believe, and I hope, has really opened up the eyes of so many people to make them realize, hey man, we need this. This needs to be here, and this needs to be a staple of our community.
Absolutely. And things are changing. No, I'm glad. A lot of people still like scared to issue their opinion about what the future have for the industry, but I believe it's great. You know, I see a great future, and
It's
I
going to be
believe that
wonderful.
all the online systems and online sales and e-commerce, things that you have been utilizing for your business, I think those things are coming to stay and change the entire industry, and even how much money a brewery can make. You know, I believe that's something huge that is coming. Now we're ready.
Absolutely.
You know, like now we
Yeah,
need to be ready.
it is, and you're absolutely right. And dude, these brewery owners have been like incredibly creative. They have been forced to think outside the box. Here's what I've really I really kind of meditated on for quite some time, especially right after this first began, was I had always, self-talk is very important. So, you
Yeah.
pride yourself on certain things and decisions that you've made in your life, it's a good way to feel good about things that you're doing for others and things that you're doing for yourself. And so I was priding myself on uh, having always been, what I thought of was thinking outside of the box, and innovation, especially when it comes to the nonprofit sector. Let's be honest, Sarah McLachlan makes me cry. You know, those poor dogs on those commercials, that is some sad stuff. Nonprofit organizations tend to be pretty sad sometimes,
Right.
kind of depressing. F that, dude. I want to be the most badass nonprofit on the planet. We're here to have some fun, right? And so priding myself in the fact that that's my goal. That's where I want to be. I want to vibe off of this excitement and this love and this passion, this camaraderie, this community that we share in this industry. Excuse me, but little did I know how little I thought outside of the box until this pandemic hit, and it makes you think even broader. And these guys, these brewery owners that have also pivoted and have done absolutely everything that they could to stay afloat, to feed their employees, to feed them families, and to feed themselves, has been so inspiring to watch these guys get out there and bust ass and hustle hard every single day. Hey, people can't come in here to buy beer. We're going to take it outside, right? People can't come in here and they can't order our food anymore. We're going to deliver it to them. What else can we do? Let's get in touch with companies like Craft Cellar, who have an application where you could get pre-sale beers that haven't even been released yet, right? All right, I'm going to connect with Craft Cellar now so that I can get my beer sold before it's even released, because that's what these guys are doing. Check out Craft Cellar, man. These guys are doing big things. It's incredible. And so to see all of these people coming together, come up with these new creative ideas, come up with this innovation and these ways of pivoting and just making it work, man. It's the American dream, baby. That's what we're doing. You know? You're part of an industry that embraces that, and not only just embraces it, but attacks it and makes it happen. And it's, you know, I stand. I don't walk in front of anybody. I don't walk behind anybody. I walk right next to everybody, locked arms and ready to go. You know, and so it's a real privilege to be a part of this community.
That's awesome, man. And I think, and I'm completely sure that people listen to this right now or later, man. I'm sure they're gonna appreciate you too, man. And I believe that dream that you have of having a happy nonprofit, I think that's something that is already happening. You know, so
thank you.
Just enjoy the ride, man. But you know, it's great. I mean, honestly, man, I have to say here publicly, but you being a great inspiration for me today. You know, because sometimes, even that I work a lot in my mind and my self development and all that stuff, and like we're very, very strict with what we do with my wife and all that stuff. One of my biggest issues is kind of like deal with negativity sometimes. You know, my own negativity. So you have been a good reminder of the things that sometimes we forget as humans, you know? So, and the things that,
well, I'm honored to be here for it.
Focus and to get me focused again on the things that I need to focus and the reasons why I started this show and the reasons why I started my company too, you know? So I really appreciate that, brother. But, we've been here for almost an hour, and I think it's time to start running. I know, man, and I can keep talking for another hour, man. We can start talking about more business and all that stuff, and maybe we should shoot another episode and talking more about mindset and who knows, you know.
Let's lock in episode 2, baby. I'm in.
Yeah, let's do it, because today we talk about the nonprofit, about how you help others, how breweries can collaborate with you and help others in the industry and all that stuff. Maybe we should talk in another episode about the things that you do to have this positive energy and to build a business that you dream of. You know, the business that you put in your mind is happening, is real. You know, it doesn't stay only in your mind. And the things that you do to, I think we can do something together and share it with the craft beer industry, man. But two more things before we wrap this up, man. First of all, where people can find you, all your contact information, so whoever listens to this later can always reach out to you. And second, I usually ask people to give us the last piece of advice, but I think you have shared a lot. But in this case, what I want you to, I mean, I'm not saying that there's no more, but what I want you to do, I don't want to ask you that. What I want you to ask you is to leave us with what do you have behind every single time somebody asks you how's your day going, and your answer is always, it is the best day of my life, and how that has shaped your life, man. That's the last thing you want us to leave this audience with.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. This has been a true honor. This has probably been my favorite interview I've ever done with anybody, especially when it comes to BottleShare and the story behind it, the story ahead of it, and everything in between. So thank you so very much for this opportunity, Pedro. Like I can't thank you enough, dude. And it's been a real pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure. So number one, you can contact us at www.thebottleshare.org. I want to make everybody very, very aware that we're about to release a brand new program called BottleShare Collective that is going to revolutionize the entire industry and the way that we care for one another. So this is now, I'm past this pandemic. I'm already,
me too.
I'm 2 years out, and I'm thinking about how can we be proactive versus reactive. This was a situation, this was a out of left freaking field that nobody could have ever seen coming situation that caused us to be reactive. And I hate being reactive. Of course, it's a great trait to have, to be able to pivot, to be able to manipulate an idea that you already had into something that will work now because times have changed at the drop of a dime. Don't get me wrong, it's very important to have that ability to be reactive. But what can we do to be proactive? What can we do to help prevent so much devastation in the event that anything like this ever happens again, whether it's COVID related or not? How in the future are our employees, our workers, our business owners, our state guilds, and even our freaking Brewers Association going to stay afloat in the event that anything like this ever happens again? And I have found the solution. We have found the solution, and that is BottleShare Collective. So please check out www.thebottleshare.org. Up at the top menu, what we do, find BottleShare Collective. There's a video in there that explains everything about it. It provides you with all of the information. If you have any questions, you can reach out to info@thebottleshare.org, or you can just go ahead and get signed right up today. Awesome. Secondly, you asked me about the favorite thing that I say. It is legit my favorite thing to say, and people ask me on a daily basis. This is just part of communication. Hey, how's your day going? Like, how many times a day do you think you're asked that question? I mean, at least 10, right?
Yeah.
If you're out interacting with people, how's your day going? How's your day going? How's your day going? I always say today is the absolute best day of my life. And if you ask me that question tomorrow, I'm going to say the same damn thing, because every day is the best day of my life. It's the truth. I've said it so much now that I don't even have to wake up and remind myself. I already know. I am living the best day of my life through second nature every day that I wake up. And it's because I've told myself that time and time again. And first, I convinced myself of it. Then I believed in it. And now I'm living it. And it ties right back to that practice that we talked about in the past. And every day is the damn best day of my life. And tomorrow's going to be the best day of my life. And it doesn't matter how much shit or garbage I have to deal with either today or tomorrow. There's nothing else that's going to bring me down. The only force strong enough from living the life that I'm creating is my final breath. And that's it. There's nothing else that's negative enough to prevent me from continuing to pursue my passion, my dream, and my vision for BottleShare. And so when I say that to somebody, when I say today's the best day of my life, thank you for asking, how's yours? They say, wow. Why is that? Tell me more. They want to engage in conversation because now they're interested, because now they're slightly inspired. Why is this guy not having the best day of my life? I want to know. And then tell them, if you ask me again tomorrow, I'm going to say the same damn thing. And it's the easiest way to live the happiest life possible. And it puts a smile on people's face every single time that you say that. And it gets them thinking, maybe that's a life that I should live as well. And so at the end of the day, I'm not just here to inspire one person. I don't want to write somebody a check, a financial emergency financial check, and say, here you go, off you go. I want to inspire that person, but I don't want just to inspire them. I want to inspire them to go out and inspire somebody else, because that's when the domino effect takes place. And that's when the really good stuff starts to happen.
Wow. That's powerful, man. I really appreciate that. That's hell of a way to close this episode.
Hey, I aim to please, brother.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. I'm pleased too, man. I really appreciate you being here. I think the sentiment is mutual, because I think this is the best interview I have done so far with this show, man. So I really appreciate you being here, man, and taking the time to share your story. We definitely going to plan that second episode and dive deeper into things that can help the brewery owners and everybody in the industry, you know? So I think
Absolutely.
we can plan it later. But anyway, thank you again, man. And for you guys listening, if you enjoyed the show, make sure you share it with somebody, put it on social media, send it in a DM, a text message, an email, whatever you can do to help us spread the word. And also make sure you leave us a review on iTunes or subscribe to the YouTube channel so more people can actually find the show and get access to all this valuable information. And lastly, if you're ready to grow your sales and take your brewery to the next level, make sure you head to onlinemenu.marketingbrewingco.com and sign up to claim your free online menu. And I will see you guys on the next episode. In the meantime, be safe, hard work, and cheers. Later. Hey guys, thank you for watching. This show was brought to you by the Marketing Brewing Company, an industry-leading marketing provider and coaching firm. If this episode have provided with valuable information for you and your business, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you know somebody who needs to hear this, share it with them. Send me a text message, a DM, put it on social media, whatever you can do to spread the word. And lastly, if you're a brewery owner ready to take your business to the next level, make sure you head to marketingbrewingco.com and fill out the form to get started and get your free assessment of your current marketing and sales strategies. I will see you guys for the next episode. In the meantime, cheers.